So, John, first thing is first. How did you approach David, or how were you approached for the project of David?
Well, the producer Nathan Alakaru, who made Anna with me, he was working with BuzzFeed on a couple of projects, and he says, "Oh, like there's this film, Dear David. Like I think you'd really dig it." I got the script, and I was like, "I know this story. I remember this. This is 2017. This is Twitter." So that's kind of how like I got involved.
Yeah, and the casting for this is amazing. You got Augustus, right? You got Andrea, and then you have the genre icon, like the real MVP, Justin Long in this, right? Like, how exciting was it to work with these guys on set as well of Dear David?
Oh no, it was brilliant. Augustus, he was incredible. He just threw himself into this role. He's a big believer in spirits, and like he suffers from sleep paralysis, and he'd just gone through like a whole host of he'd got to the end of like a whole bunch of trauma and feeling good about himself. And when he read this script, he's like, I have just gone through like this really hard time, this really traumatic time, and yeah, it was a big change. Sorry, it was a big he was incredible coming into that. Andrea Bang, I've had in like as a filmmaker, you've got you create decks and pitches for films and stuff like that. And Andrea is like in most of mine. So you actually be we like work with her on a film was brilliant, and she's so funny, so sweet, and like a brilliant filmmaker herself. It was just an absolute joy. And I grew up watching Justin Long. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's amazing. It was brilliant. Like, it's the guy from Galaxy Quest. Like,
yeah.
check
People
this out.
forget that he was in Galaxy Quest too.
I know. Like, it's like as I say, you just kind of you grew up with him. It was there, and like I remember watching Jeepers Creepers as like a
Yeah.
teenager. So yeah, and obviously like the now, like Barbarian's amazing. Like it's so good. It's so good.
And the way he was able to switch up that movie halfway through as well was just inspiring.
It was
So,
brilliant.
and the aesthetics for David is completely different from Anna and the Apocalypse, right? So, how was it like that creating the aesthetic, the feel, the atmosphere, and the seriousness and brooding for David as well?
So, what was great fun was sort of like working with the production team, sort of to sort of design the apartment. We pulled over images of Adam's apartment, and just Josh Turpin, my designer, just like he took inspiration from the photos and took a bit of license, so that we had that ability to shoot like through there and through the kitchen, or and be able to properly use the space and utilize it. It was fun as well, was like sort of being able to sort of like we had flyaway windows so that we could fly in like the sort of like obscured ones, so like that having that sort of little bit of difference between the sort of like dreaming world and the reality, and yeah, so that was a lot of fun, and I absolutely fell in love with my director of photography, Stephen Whitehead. I don't want to make another film without him. Like he was
That's a
incredible.
fantastic job. Yeah.
He's done a beautiful job, and we I love color. I love color in film. Like Rihanna was like a progression, and it was the same here. It was kind of like the reverse, like where by the end of it, like he's been wearing like a lot of bright colors, and by the end of it, we'll really pull the color really out. And even though like his walls are painted like reds and yellows, it still feels like
Right.
dark and nasty. So we just sort of love doing those kind of things and sort of playing with those like little aspects of it. So yeah, it was great fun.
And what were some of your inspirations from previous haunted house movies, or just sleep paralysis movies that you kind of drew inspiration from, if any, for David while you were making it?
There's a couple. So one of them was Event Horizon. Like I was watching when I was doing rewrites on this, I was watching Event Horizon on like repeat because and I think like I love that movie. But yeah, there's a couple of bits from Event Horizon. There's the sort of computer game sequence when he sort of like uh, ends up in like the oven and things like that. That was sort of taken from A Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Remember the bit where Freddy like puppeteers the guy?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but the real peril from the whole sequence comes from his friends, like them all like shouting, screaming on him. It's them that create the tension and the peril, and being able to sort of flip between computer game him and like him on that snorri cam, like trapped in his own body, like screaming, like while he's pouring booze over himself to go like set himself on fire. Like that was a lot of fun. Like, yeah.
And this movie was pretty self-contained with its locations, right? Because most of it took place in his apartment and the work office. So did that add to the atmosphere as well? Just having it that self-contained, acting as if like this guy can't really escape because he's only in these two locations as well.
Yeah, I mean, like with the locations, like it was, you know, we did have like a week out, like on location to shoot, but for most of it, we were all like in on the stage. And there's like in a studio, sorry, and uh, um, just outside Hamilton in Toronto. So and then obviously we went and like got like loads of drone stuff of like New York and shots and stuff like that. So sort of like, put it back in. It was also to try and get out of the apartment. That was the difficult thing, was getting out of it and like being like a little bit more interesting, so that there wasn't always that claustrophobic stuck in this apartment kind of feel. But yeah.
And what was your favorite experience, or was there a difficult experience trying to film sequences in Dare David as well?
Oh, like the one of my favorite experiences definitely was we'd the scene where like like Adam has the breakdown at work, and he's like, Norris has got the thing of like how you kill yourself at work, and it's him like shooting himself and like hanging himself, and uh, he kind of like loses it. Like a lot of that's all shot in one. And there was like it was never intended to be one take. I always like to sort of have something that's moving along with it, and then we have things to sort of like cut into and splice together. But Augustus done that one take, like, and just it nailed it. And it was like the way, like, and I'm talking about from the moment that he's like stands up and he's like, wait till you see what fucking Norris has just sent me, and like from there all the way right through to like him talking to Bryce and getting up and leaving is all in one take, and it was just perfect. And when he nailed it, like I ran up and jumped all over him because it was just perfect. And there's always difficult days. You're always going to have difficult days on films. You never have enough time. You never have enough money. That's just how it always is. So, but I had an incredible crew, like they just worked tirelessly and really, really hard. So, so even like the most difficult days were a bit of a breeze. So,
Right. And this is a Bible story, right? So everybody's expectations for this can be kind of high if they've been following it since the conception of the story. So how do you deal with that as a filmmaker and as a team putting out Dear David? How do you already deal with the expectations of people that have been following this since the beginning?
so I knew it was always something that I'm was always thinking something I'm really quite nervous about, because there are so many fans. And this is an existing IP. This is an existing story. It has an existing fan base, and I'm taking dramatic license and telling this story, and it's not going to be what they've got in their head. But they've all got a different story in their head. Not they all don't agree on
Right.
it. Nobody agrees like on what's actually happened. But they have theories. They have ideas, right? So I'm not going to be able to subscribe to all of those theories. I'm not going to be able to subscribe to all of them. But what I can do is I can sort of like transport you to his apartment. Like, as I say, we've taken a little bit of license to it, but the furniture, like a lot of that is all the same stuff from those apartments. Like Adam Ellis himself is in the film. Like, like there's like winks and nods to that existing fan base. And I am trying to service them, but there's also like a whole bunch of like there's a horror audience in here that I really want to like look after, and I want them to enjoy themselves as well. And there's going to be these new fans as well. So there's a whole bunch of sort of audiences, and I am winking to all of them. I am nodding to all of them and try to bring them in, so that they see it
Right.
themselves.
Well, John, congratulations on Dare David. It's been really fun, and we look forward to what you have next, as always.
No, thanks, AJ. And I really, really appreciate this. Thank you.